All right, well, I had no clue what to do next for like another vlog, so I figured I would take you guys to the gym with me. Again, I did a while back, but that was when I was making a LUT. The LUT's done. I just don't know when I want to put it out or how to put it out, so, or who would be interested in it. So I might set up something like that in order to get it to people. But yeah, I'm here, and I thought I would show you guys exactly what I'm doing to kind of get gym footage of myself. I've never seen anybody give you like a real rundown. I've seen a lot of people like try to over romanticize it and say do this and do that, but I'm gonna try and give like the really bare bones, like raw, no nonsense version. So like right now, I'm filming on an A6700 from Sony. I have a Sigma 30mm f1.4. That's about a 45mm equivalent on full frame for those of you that have full frame. And I'm recording using a NEEWER lavalier mic. Simple setup. I have a NEEWER tripod too, and I have a quick release on it, so I can go from vertical to horizontal, but I prefer to shoot horizontal. And I just got finished stretching right now, and then I'm just gonna get into working out, I guess, and then I'm just gonna share what I know while I'm doing my thing. You know, I wasn't gonna take pre-workout, but I decided to, so I'm gonna mix it up right now. But also, to make it clear that the way I edit and the way I kind of take care of things isn't necessarily tied to the type of equipment you have. I'm gonna record this in 1080p in 8-bit, because that's kind of like where I learned to color grade, and that debatably is the most inflexible footage to work with when you're color grading. However, I'm shooting in hyperlog gamma 3, and that's a picture profile that's on Sony platform cameras. It's like literally the easiest to work with because the colors just won't break when you start shifting them around. Of course, it's not going to be like 10-bit footage, or it's not going to be like S-Log, but it also requires less work than S-Log, but more work than Rec 709, so it's like a sweet in the middle. And it's also considered a high dynamic range workflow, since you are working in a high dynamic range type of color space. It's like Rec 2100 when you go to fix it up in DaVinci. But yeah, I'm gonna drink this and then we'll get started. Ooh, okay. Oh, already warmed up, but figured I would warm up my shoulders a bit more. I really don't want a shoulder injury, because a bunch of dudes at the gym like to complain about how much their shoulders hurt. I've never had that happen to me when I'm bench pressing, but you know, can't be too careful. Injuries really set you back and screw you up when you're doing stuff like this. Also, if you're noticing in this shot, I'm using layering. So we have the dumbbells in the foreground, and obviously this is a mirror shot. So I'm in the middle ground, and then background is obviously what's behind me. But what people won't tell you is that the colors shift and you get less light, because light bouncing from a mirror is less powerful. I don't want to say it cuts the light in half, but you do have to expose higher just a little bit. And then you have to decide whether your foreground elements get blown out or you want your subject more illuminated. Now, in post, what I'll do is I'll put a mask over me and I'll expose myself up just a little bit, and then probably take a power window and put it around the edges of the screen and put it on multiply as the compositing mode, and that will give me like a vignette, and it will darken everything around to keep everything from getting too bright, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I handle mirror shots. It makes them look nice. And honestly, I'm going for color harmony and separation. Saying cinematic doesn't really do a lot when you're trying to describe how you want things to look. And we are in a gym with black walls, and I'm wearing black, and I chose the worst color literally to wear, so there's not a lot of like punch coming from me. But that's, you know, that's why wardrobe's important. Let's start bench pressing. I'm yapping too much. Quick tip for anybody that doesn't know, setting up makes things so much easier. when you're on the bench. And while I'm at it, I think I'm gonna do a slight incline. Yeah, so what you'll do is you'll grab the dumbbells and you'll set them on your knees and you'll just rock back with your knees up. This. While I'm down here, I wanted to tell you guys too that I'm holding these at a 45-degree angle. If I do this, I see a lot of people do this. This puts a lot more stress on your shoulder. And that's great, but you might want to save that for the shoulder press. So you kind of just tilt these to the 45-degree angle. It's a lot more comfortable. And the range of motion feels more natural. Forces your chest to work harder. What I'll do to dismount is, I don't know if it's the correct thing to do, but I'll come up with my knees and catch the dumbbells. Also, a bit of advice is, see this bench right here? Park the camera over there, obviously in the corner, but I have it on manual focus right now, and that means that I don't want the autofocus hunting while I'm doing this. And I know I'm gonna be sitting here anyways. And I made my aperture probably around 4.0. That's what will fit like a human body at this distance. The further away something is from your camera, the more they fit into the depth of field, and the closer they are, the thinner the depth of field just becomes because of the way aperture and distance interact with each other. So a medium aperture isn't bad. Everybody's saying to film with a high aperture. I don't want to call them unsophisticated, but it seems like what they want is the background blur, but that's not what makes things cinematic to begin with. So just avoid doing that. Try and get your composition correct. Also, let's get something a bit heavier now. Work our way up. Let's see how high up the rack we can run. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Run myself up the rack, and then I'm just gonna try and pause and share information with you guys as I go. Let's just jump to the 80s and see how these feel. Can't stress enough that you also will feel like crud if you don't eat properly before you come to the gym. So try to get some carbs and protein in you. Wait for a bit and then show up. Whew. Because I do notice when I eat, give it a minute and then show up. Or my training is a lot smoother. Set this up. Ooh. 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 Ooh, pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. Ooh. Also, you're probably never gonna nail exposure on the first try every time, so it's fine. Just try and make sure you're either not nailing your exposure by like one stop beneath or one stop over. And the way I kind of gauge whether something's underexposed or overexposed is, see this wall right here? That wall's black, obviously. And if I want things to look more true to life, I'll go ahead and park this wall as close to the color black as I can without going beneath the 0 point on the scopes. And then I kind of look at everything else. And based off of how everything else comes together, my skin is lighter, so I'll try and have that just sit right above the midtones. And if I get that, then I have something that's accurate, and then I'll start color grading from that point. So yeah, also these weights, these weights don't really show up as a very nice shade of red on the editor, because red actually doesn't have a lot of shades that can be reproduced in 8-bit. So you have to shoot in 10-bit to get a good shade of red, but to fix that, I just fix the density in post. So I usually make these a little bit more dense because these will kind of hover around a very light red, but in real life, these are like a blood red. Yeah, I'll probably show that like right now if I can in post-production. And yeah, probably make a tutorial on that in the future too that's like a little bit shorter. I keep changing the angle, but I'm just trying to see how stuff looks, because I haven't really filmed horizontally in here. And I know that's a shame. We should be filming horizontal more often, but you know, the way social media is going, expects that vertical content. And between you and me, I hate that shit. Let's take the 90s for a ride and see how we feel with these. Oh, this is where it starts getting crazy. Setting these up is a little harder. Oh, this is why I don't do barbell, because barbell just starts with the weight already in a position where you can push it, and this kind of makes you be mindful of setting these up, and each arm has to work independently. So if you have an imbalance, you'll know real quick when working with dumbbells. My gimbal work got a lot better ever since I started working chest and shoulders, because those are the muscles that you sort of use kind of to keep things close to you, along with your biceps. So I would say upper chest, front delts, biceps, keep things tight, keep things stable. However, I recommend you use a tripod first. Tripods are cheaper, and it also teaches you how to compose better if you're forced to slow down and just use a tripod. I'm gonna do this more often. This is really easy to just talk and work out. Let's set these up. 1, 2, 3. Oh, oh, ugh. 1. Oh. 3. 4. Ooh. 5. Give me 6. Boo. Okay, can I do 2 more? No. Fought for that one. No, not. Another one's not coming out. Whew. Okay, while I'm resting, I got one more thing to share. So, 1080p footage is still good. Higher resolution stuff has more detail, but what makes footage look good is not just the color separation and the color harmony, but when you go to sharpen it, just know when you're sharpening it, you're sharpening the edges of everything, so the edges of everything that the camera catches become more defined. So it's adding like micro contrast to everything. Of course, in software, when you do it in post, it's prioritizing everything that has more detail and then looking for the edges and then sharpening it. And then if you do it in camera, the camera just kind of throws it all around the entire screen. That's why when in my picture profiling, I turn the sharpening completely off, because most of the time it just looks really good. I like my footage looking softer, and then I like having control in post whether I want to make certain parts of it make the sharpening higher. Usually what I'll do is make the very center of the screen sharp, because that's where you park your subject most of the time if you're filming like this. And make sure you turn your crosshair on, because if you go to your aspect, I think it's your aspect markers, I forgot what it's called, marker frame, like guide frame, whatever, in the first tab of your Sony camera or on whatever camera manufacturer you're doing, if you turn the safety lines on the sides, it'll give you like 10% of wiggle room, so you can park your subject in post and then just figure out if you want to crop it or not. And then also running back to the sharpening, you want to take your mid-tone detail and possibly like bring it down, but just for the reds, because that's where the skin tones are at. It might affect everything on the screen, but it's not that big of a deal. If it is a big deal, just mask it. Smoother skin doesn't mean better. It's just on the older lenses back in the day that had less lens elements, the light wouldn't come in as clean, so the skin did in fact look softer. And with these newer lenses that we use, there's a lot less imperfections, and that sometimes makes things come across very, not fake, but I say plastic. Yeah, plastic's a good word. Okay, so we just hit the 90s for like 6. That's pretty good. I'm gonna try to hit the hundreds again, because I've been trying to build strength up and get used to it. So we're gonna make the attempt right now. I'm gonna move the camera. Okay, so long story short, those hundreds don't want to go up today. We're gonna do the 90s again. I'm playing around too much. There we go. Oh, that's it. That's it, man. Oh. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? Hit a couple sets off camera, and that's what I get. Man, a juice. No, we will do though. Let's just rep it out with something lighter. That's funny. Ooh. Yep, see, I am exhausted with this muscle group. Holy moly. No. Come on. Yep. Boom. Good. Good, good, good. Fantastic. Let's move on. So I can keep giving you guys good information. I like going really hard on one particular group and then hitting everything else isolated afterwards. So yeah, or I like hitting a compound movement. Let's get to the next piece of advice. Okay, a little bit of biceps, then we'll go hit triceps after this. So fairly boring shots like this. There's not much you can do. The piece of equipment is up against the wall. There's a bunch of weights right here that are obstructing me placing the camera like any closer, and I don't want to move them. And between you and me, these are like 200-pound dumbbells, or 180 to 200s are back there, but there's like 180, 170, 150-pound dumbbells. I'm not picking those up. So I parked the camera right there. Ooh. And this machine kicks your butt. It isolates your biceps, or gets them to work all by themselves. So now would be a good time, since this shot is very monotone. There's not a lot going on with color other than the red bar that's in front of me and my skin. Now, in here, you probably noticed that there's a bunch of LED lighting, LED lights on the cold end, usually around 6,000 Kelvin. But let's just say you didn't know that. Most cameras come with an automatic white balance setting. If you turn the automatic white balance setting, if you turn the automatic balancing setting on near the custom white balancing, then you can actually take a black wall like this. And no, nothing ever truly is a true form of black, unless it wouldn't be reflective at all. These are a little bit green, and they reflect green light. How do I know that? I've taken a gray card in here before and balanced it out. Balanced out around 6,000 Kelvin no matter where you're standing. And on top of getting your Kelvin right, your camera can actually have hues pushed into the actual white balancing. So in this case, magenta is going to help us out the most. Not only because the weights will become more rich with that red tone, but these walls reflect a lot of green because this is more like a green-black paint. It's invisible to the eye, but every color that seems neutral to us usually reflects more of one type of wavelength. If you don't believe me, if you have a gray shirt that you've washed multiple times, some of them look more dark. Those ones reflect blue light. The ones that look a little bit nasty, those ones a little bit on the red side. And the ones that look extremely faded most of the time, those ones are a little bit more green. And then that also, you should also think about that before you wear them on camera too. However, I do think gray is like a prime color to wear because you'll stand out against like pretty much everything. Because gray isn't really a natural color in nature. And against a background like this, it's gonna help you stand out more without you having to wear like a garish, crazy color. I mean, that or you could wear a red shirt to match the gym, but I got too much stuff that's black, so yeah. But let's do a couple more sets of these, a little bit heavier. Ooh, all right. Ooh. Ooh. You're not always gonna have the same great days all the time at the gym. Some days you're gonna hit really heavy weight. I was really hoping to hit those hundreds, but you know, I guess I'm not really feeling it. Same thing with this. Sometimes I go really high on this, and today I'm gassing out a little bit too early, if you ask me. But just take the weight down, if that's the case. No, holy moly. Okay, we're gonna have to knock that down a smidge. So I found another angle. If I record from here, it's saying that on my multimeter that I'm overexposed. And that's probably because
the shadows on this side of my face and the highlight on this side of my face have too much of a difference. And just so you know, you could set your multimeter on your Sony's camera or your camera, in whatever manufacturer you have, to read out certain ways. And multimeter takes an average of the entire screen pretty much and kind of tries to guess whether you're over or underexposed based off of the difference in the values of the pixels. And by value, I mean the luminance, right? So the luminance range of my face. And sometimes they've prioritized faces if they detect them. So it's taken the entire sample of the image. Also, multimeters can struggle a little bit, especially with a non-reflective surface like this black wall behind me. But your best bet is to just do guesswork. I usually try to hover between one stop underexposed and overexposed. But in this situation, I'm probably going to overexpose deliberately because I don't want to lose too much detail in the shadows on my face right here. Also, on close-up shots like this where someone's really sweaty and you might see the pores on their face, it does help with the thing I mentioned earlier to crank down the mid-tone detail just a little bit. And remember guys, less is more with this stuff, so like don't color grade your image too much. There's two different types of like ways to color grade. Either you're going for hyper-realism or you're going for something aesthetic. And aesthetic is really cool, but it's just not really flexible. So I tend to get a lot of my inspiration from documentaries. And I'm not sponsored, I'm not pushing the product, but I'm a big fan of Colin Kelly's Voyager LUT pack for anybody who's trying to get into color grading a little bit more seriously. He does offer tools for look development, which are a lot more sophisticated, but I don't really have the money or the time to learn those things right now. And despite me being, I don't want to say advanced, but I know my way around color grading quite a bit. And the LUTs save time because they do multiple steps that I would have to do either way without me having to invest another 15, 20 minutes into my grading process. So I can comfortably focus more on getting the exposure right on my image or being creative with the angle or the composition. So yeah, I'm gonna hit a couple more sets of this. I'm gonna take you guys over to the tricep extension with me. So this is one of those shots where I just kind of had to guess about where to position the camera. See, it's a little bit tight because I like filming on what almost is a 50 millimeter. There we go. Get these a little warmed up. Not that I need to warm these up. I just like starting a little bit light to get the motion locked in. And then once I get the mind-muscle connection, then I start throwing it up into weight. Also, pay attention to where the light is. Being mindful where the light is just as important as where you're putting your camera. There we go. Light's coming from right on top of my head. And me wearing a black shirt isn't exactly helping, but if I was wearing anything lighter, I probably would pop a little bit more. Whew, and the direction of the light changes the dimensions of my face. You'll get this thing called raccoon eyes when light is too harsh and it's above somebody's head. But in bodybuilding, it can benefit you a little bit because the definition on your muscles pops out a lot more. Whew, when you have the light above you. I'll show you guys real quick. I can kind of see myself from that far. I wear glasses, everybody, so whenever I record myself, I just kind of park the camera wherever it is and then send it. Just hope that whatever the angle I got was good. But I don't know if you guys can see. I look blurry to myself, but I'm not the biggest guy ever. But when you have the light right above you, you can make physiques look more impressive. Yeah. I cannot see myself. Leave a comment if I look okay. All right, I'm gonna finish this. Whew. Got a decent pump. I'm a little bit bummed about how the bench went today. Really wanted to hit those hundreds for you guys. But I think it's because I'm a little bit emotionally distressed because some other things that are bothering me. That stuff does affect you, everybody. Also, this is a really cool muscle shirt. I like Flagner Fail stuff. A lot of people will tell you to get low angles, close angles, wide angles. But what they forget to tell you is that, how do I put this? Those angles are good for storytelling, right? But when it comes to actually
like the spoken word type of storytelling, like me just talking to you right now like this, sometimes it's okay to just put the camera at eye level. It's not that bad. As long as you got everything framed correctly, you're good. I don't want to tell anyone what they're doing is wrong. It's just the application of it is the sensitive part. It's not like what you're doing sucks or it's incorrect, because with creativity, everything's subjective. But what I'm trying to say is the intent behind everything controls what your process should look like. But if everything's intentional, I totally agree with you. If it helps your work process and you think those low angles and the variations and everything is good, great. However, my idea of making something interesting is being able to have a take or a frame hold that lasts longer than 2 seconds. Like, think about this, like the majority of content you see on either Instagram or X or anything really at this point, stuff's just moving on the screen aimlessly and kind of like, I don't know what it is, it kind of overstimulates your brain or overstimulates my brain. I like relaxing when I watch things, and I notice a lot of the documentaries I watch kind of like hold a perspective and let you kind of take in the scene very slowly, like enjoy it. It's like food, man. Like sometimes you just have to, don't just swallow it, like actually chew on it. You know what I mean? Whoa, let's hit this last set real quick. We're done. That's good. Let's finish with flies. Yeah, let's finish with inner chest. Oh, parking something in the center makes things so much easier when you have the crosshair on. So 2 things. If you have a machine like this, so you have to grab these, it's a lot easier when you're going higher in weight to just come around and yank it this way. Same for the other side. Also, straight on shots look better like this when you have movement happening in front. And I'm not saying it's the most artistic thing ever or it's the best, but it's good at getting the point across. I guess I'm going to start wrapping up my advice thing here because I'm kind of exhausted mentally, unless I could fit anything else in before I go. But if you're scared of recording yourself, just keep recording yourself, but don't post it. Take notes. Figure out if you're stuttering your words, if you don't like your posture, if you don't like what type of words you're saying, if you don't like the way that you're really moving, if you don't like your pacing. It's like working out. You might not be able to stand on the stage yet or publish anything that you're recording, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm good at just getting the point across, and that's what I fixate on. And as long as I get the point across, that's all that really matters, to be honest. And yeah, let's change the angle on this. I got one last piece of advice, that's going to be almost in my head. 24 FPS doesn't mean cinematic. And people are gonna crucify me probably for saying that. Like, think about it. 24 FPS is less frames, so you're capturing less motion, which means a little bit more motion blur if your shutter speed is correct, right? But maybe for things that are a little bit more involved with movement, it'd make more sense to shoot in 30 frames per second, especially if you plan on designing it in post, maybe slow it down to 24. But it just comes out a bit smoother if you're filming dynamic stuff. It's best to work on a 24 FPS timeline and then default everything you shoot in a higher frame rate to that frame rate, because 24 FPS is a number that's divisible by a percentage by 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, essentially. So it's safe to just go with that timeline. If you're really trying to get experimental, I'd recommend just shooting in 60 FPS intentionally for the movement, or shooting in 30 to see how you like it. It looks more akin to TV, to be honest. And if you like that look, there's no problem with it. The only thing I'd recommend not doing actually, is not filming in 60 FPS deliberately, because there's no benefit to it. It's just higher frame rate, higher file sizes. If you shoot in a 60 FPS for the 60 FPS timeline, anything in a FPS lower than that, you start getting duplicate frames. So you don't want to do that. Yeah, it's me yapping about my stuff I'm passionate about while I'm doing something else I'm passionate about. Also, the quality of your audio doesn't occur to people, but it sounds a lot better when it's coming directly into the microphone as opposed to being off to the side, because the vibrations you're hearing are actually coming through majority my chest when I do this. And then if I speak towards the microphone, it sounds a lot more clear. So just keep that in mind before you do your talking material. Take it out, talk in front of it if you really want it to sound clear. That, or just try to put it somewhere, put the lavalier somewhere on you where the microphone is actually facing your mouth. Let's do this. Let's do this. Ooh.
Oh boy. Oh. All right. Let's go. Whew. Give me one more. Come on. Come on. Oh. All right. Whew. Now, after I'm done working out, while I still have a little bit of a pump left, I like standing over near the mirror and just kind of like analyzing where I'm at, essentially. And the reason I'm pointing the camera at me this time is because the mirror is like kind of dirty, and I wanted to show the difference between now and earlier with me pointing the camera in the mirror and the light being cut in half. I have the same exact exposure settings right now just for the sake of me showing you. And like you'll see that the light bouncing off my skin in general is like super rich, a little bit harsh even because I have a lighter skin tone. And I'll just stand here and I'll just kind of like look at how I'm doing. So I'll hit like some poses. Let's get a back double too. Let's go to the center area so I can say bye to everybody. Okay, so that was just a short workout, kind of broken up a bit. Only really showed you guys the parts where I had either something to say or something to show you. That's it. I mean, I'm gonna try in the future to do more vlogs, but also provide like some sort of value or some sort of advice that's practical in the middle of it. If you learned something in the middle of all this, just let me know. That's it. I'm not expecting you to like or subscribe or anything. That's only if you really want to come back and see what I'm up to, essentially. But I'm all for just helping people. That's what I want to do. I want my whole entire like brand to just be about helping people and not really expecting much in return. I want to do something different than from a lot of the brands that I see on YouTube and on other forms of social media. If you guys have any suggestions as to like what you want me to do next, feel free to put that in the comments or just message me on my personal Instagram because it's linked to my YouTube. And that's about it pretty much. Oh, and also if you guys have your own pages or your own like YouTube that you make stuff on, I would like to subscribe to you guys too, especially if you're like a smaller content creator like me, so I could get more inspiration and we can help each other out. So yeah, keep growing, keep getting better at what you're doing. You have it in you, even if you haven't found it yet. And you guys just have a great rest of your day or night wherever you're at. See you guys later.